Hey, welcome to the City Ballers podcast show. My name is Ron. I am your host. And on this show, 2023, January, we will talk about Zach Wilson of the New York Jets, the LA Rams head coach Sean McVay, the Detroit Lions, the Chicago Bears, not Pears, the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears number one draft pick for the 2023 season. And I'll be giving my playoff wildcard picks for this weekend. So stay tuned, guys. And welcome, guys. And we're going to kick this podcast show off. We're going to talk about Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson's having a lot of problems in New York, right? And this is something that you all could say you saw coming. Well, I'll take that back because a lot of people, this was when he played his last season, it was the COVID season was going on, right? So we didn't get a chance to see that much of Zach Wilson. So they were doing all this talk, and I'm like, I want to see this Zach Wilson. I want to see what this guy is all about. So BYU couldn't get a game one Sunday, and they tried, and they came up on Coastal Carolina. Well, Coastal Carolina said, yeah, we'll take the game, but you'll come here to South Carolina to play us. Well, Coastal Carolina Stadium is really small. It's a small school, and for a minute, I didn't even know that Coastal Carolina was considered a D1 school. But nevertheless, BYU took the game. And in most cases, during non-COVID seasons, you will not see a BYU team, football team, travel to a Coastal Carolina because it's like a lower Division I school, right? So you won't see a BYU going there, but you will see a Coastal Carolina going to BYU probably like one of the first two games during the season because they'll get the money and they'll get to play on national TV, and that would be the only time you would see Coastal Carolina. Well, BYU was so desperate, they took the game, and because a lot of college teams was desperate to take games because a lot of teams weren't COVID qualified. So BYU took the game, traveled to South Carolina, and the first quarter was interesting. He played pretty good. It was 14-13 at the end of the first quarter. Well, before the end of the first quarter, Zach Wilson threw a long bomb, and it was picked off, right? And after it was picked off, then you know how that goes. The offense turns into defense, and defense turns into offense. So guys start setting up blocking, and just so happened Zach Wilson was now a defender, right? So he's going to get blocked. But unbeknownst to him, Coastal Carolina sent like two goons after him. And these are defensive guys, right? And they just gave Zach Wilson a business. I mean, they planted him in the ground. When they first started off, they just grabbed him. They roughed him up. And then another guy came, and they both was roughing him up, slammed him to the turf. Zach Wilson got up. They slammed him back to the turf again and was still roughing him up after they slammed him to the turf, right? Now, just to watch this, and at the end of the first half, it was 14-13. So I said, okay, we're going to see what Zach Wilson is made of. Right? Well, do you know the next half or the next two quarters, BYU only managed to score a field goal, only 3 points. And they lost, I can't remember what the score was, but it was like maybe 20-13 or 24-13. And don't quote me on that, but I know that Coastal Carolina won. And I do know that BYU had 14 points, and their final score was 17. So that means they only scored 3 more points. But you can look up the box score. And basically what I'm trying to say is Zach Wilson was mentally taken out of the game at that point. So for me, that was all I needed to see. That was enough. That was enough for me to see. And I was saying to myself, okay, you could see it in Zach Wilson's eyes when they roughed him up. I mean, he was totally taken out of the game. He had this look on his face like, I'm done. Who sent these goons out here? I'm just done, right? So at so I'm thinking, at that point, if you can't come back from a Coastal Carolina, this Coastal Carolina team, this goon team that you just saw, this is what you will see every week in the NFL. Because NFL is full of goons. You turn your head right, you turn your head left, you look up, you look down. There's goons all over that field. So I figured if you can't handle Coastal Carolina and they really took you off your square, that means that the competition that you had been playing, even before COVID, you weren't used to seeing this. These guys wasn't playing patty cake with you. They were playing, let's baptize this guy. So after watching this and watched how Coastal Carolina mentally took Zach Wilson out of the game and he was only able to muster up one half of a drive just to get 3 points, then I knew. I'm like, okay, we're going to have problems with this guy if he is drafted in the NFL. And unbeknownst to me, the New York Giants drafted him. The New York Jets drafted him the second quarterback in the first round. And the first thing I thought was, who's the guy that's doing the drafting with the New York Jets? Who is this guy? Does he do his homework? Does he watch football games? Does he watch tape? Does he have people working up under him that will give him the 411? And this is the NFL, so I want to assume this guy's got people up under him. So I want to give this drafting guy at the New York Jets, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, maybe he didn't make this call. Maybe he was one of the guys that say, hey, don't pick this guy. I don't know. But somebody on the Jets went out and thought that because maybe they said he had a great combine, right? But see, during the combines, you're not going to have a bunch of goons in your face talking shit to you, tossing you down, hitting you late. You're not going to have a lot of that. So you won't see that, right? You can throw nice passes and spirals and show off your arm. But how does that carry over to a real live game? It doesn't. You have to do your homework. And overall, the Jets get an F because somebody didn't do their homework. And like I said, this is the NFL. These guys that do their scouting, I'm not going to discredit them guys like that. They do what they do, and they're good at it. And I don't think that anybody that scouted Zach Wilson would have said, take Zach Wilson in the first round with your second pick. That's absolutely absurd. That's absolutely stupid. Now, off Zach Wilson, I just had to get that out. And while I'm on a roll, guys, I want to briefly touch on the Detroit Lions. I think that they have a really bright future, in my opinion. And one of the things that I'm excited about, I know I kind of, on my Facebook page, I kind of like trash the Fords and whatever, right? Saying the same old Lions. But obviously, Sheila Ford Hamp is not like the old William Clay Ford. She was smart enough to surround herself with football people who understood the game and knew the game, right? Unlike William Clay Ford, he really didn't give a damn, right? But Sheila Hamp Ford, or Sheila Ford Hamp surrounded herself with football people. And it started with Chris Spielman. who connected her to Brad Holmes, right? The GM, who was previously with the LA Rams. And then also now you have Dan Campbell. And then you have a lot of his offensive and defensive and all of his coaches that's on board. A lot of former NFL players. So you've got this team, and this team just started getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And by the time the season was over with, hey, look, the Lions are 9-8. And to make this season so great, they topped it off by beating the Green Bay Packers. And I don't think the Packers and Aaron Rodgers saw a lot of this coming. They just thought this was the same old Lions. Even after they got beat at Ford Field, they didn't understand it. This was a totally different team, a totally different Detroit Lions that they're used to playing, right? They didn't think so, even after that first game that they lost. And Aaron Rodgers running his mouth, right? So the second game, last game of the season, and everybody, all of the critics, all of the betting gurus, BetGM, FanDuel, all those guys, and all of the so-called, guys that know football, they all picked Green Bay. They all had Green Bay winning. I give shout out to Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy was one of the only ones that I saw. There was a couple other guys that was out there, but they were in the minority who picked the Lions to win Sunday because what they understood was this is not the old Detroit Lions. And I think what happened was Green Bay bought into what the majority of what the media was saying, that the Packers are just going to win. It's the last game of the season. And they gave some stat, and I think one of the stats was when Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, when it's the final game, or when it's the game to get into the playoffs, Aaron Rodgers is like 3-0. And one guy just says, "Oh yeah, he was a teammate of Aaron Rodgers. I don't know who the guy's name was." He says, "Oh yeah, we're gonna beat them, so that's automatic." Well, if that's the case, well, why do they play the games on Sundays and Mondays and sometimes Saturdays and Thursdays? If that's the case, we shouldn't even play games. We should just look on paper and just put the guys' records and who's going to win and just look at it that way. But if that's the case, it's no fun. It's not football, right? That's why they play the game. So they played the game, and guess what? Green Bay believed that they were going to win. But they didn't think about, this ain't the old Lions. We can't play these guys like this anymore. These guys ain't going to roll over. Guess what happened? They got rolled on. Green Bay got rolled on. So shout out to the Detroit Lions. If you're Aaron Rodgers, you might probably want to start trying to look somewhere else because the Super Bowl ain't going to be running through Green Bay anymore. It's just not. Not while Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes and company is still around. You're going to have a fight. And watch this, guys. When you win, the free agents will come. So I remember a long time ago, the Green Bay Packers used to be the destination of choice for the free agents. Was that Reggie White? He started it off. But guess what, guys? Detroit's going to be that spot. You watch. All right. And now we'll talk about the Chicago Bears. And before we talk about the Chicago Bears, shout out to my guy, Elijah Hicks, free safety. Been knowing that kid since he was a kid when he played with the Long Beach Browns. Shout out to Elijah Hicks. I love you, kid. Keep doing your thing. So let's talk about the Chicago Bears. They've got the first pick in the first round of this year's draft pick, of this year's NFL 2023 draft pick in Kansas City. The first pick, first round, right? That's great. They needed it because they don't have a lot of weapons over there in Chicago, and they really need it. And one of the things that I think that they should do, I mean, you could trade away that first pick to get maybe 2 or 3 picks in the first round. Who knows? They could trade with Seattle because Seattle's got 2 picks and Seattle needs help. I would get with Seattle and see if you can get 2 picks in the first round. Trade away 1 for 2. That's awesome. It's a lot of things that the Chicago Bears can do and what they can do and probably will do, and that's great. But they needed that first round. Now, one of the most asinine things that I've heard was some guy on ESPN saying, well, since you have the number 1 draft pick, trade away Justin Fields and go after Bryce Young. And then you can get other picks too. Well, that's stupid. That's asinine. Why would you trade away a proven player? You know what he's going to do in the NFL. You know what Justin Fields is going to do. He's proven himself. You know he can play in the NFL. You want to trade him away for a person that's not proven. Now, don't get me wrong. I like Bryce Young. Notice I say I think Bryce Young is going to be a hot commodity in the NFL. But right now, we don't know that. We have no proof of that. We have no idea. We think we know, but we really have no idea how Bryce Young is going to turn out. We never know. That's just how that goes. You don't know how these good college players, how they transition over to the NFL, right? So why would you trade that away for a proven commodity such as Fields for someone that's not proven? I just think that's stupid. I think it's asinine. You can do a lot more than just trade him away and get a Bryce Young, because the Bryce Young is the sexy pick. It's the sexy pick, but you don't really know how that sexy pick is going to perform. But you know how Justin Fields is going to perform. Yeah, well, that's my thoughts on the first round draft pick for the Chicago Bears. Good luck, Bears. You need it, and bear down. Okay, so I want to talk about the Los Angeles Rams head coach Sean McVay. Sean McVay is reportedly stepping down because of stress, or he's just going to retire. And a lot of people on TV like ESPN and all of those places are saying, well, he's still young enough. He's stressed. He just wants to walk away and enjoy the fruits of his labor. Guess what? Bullshit, guys. He's stepping away because he knows that this 5-12 season that he had is going to be considered pretty good, considering, in my opinion, what I think the Rams is getting ready to go through. So if we look at their last draft picks, okay, and I got it pulled up here on my computer. Sean McVay came to the LA Rams. Now stay with me, guys. Sean McVay came to the LA Rams in 2007. Well, the last first-round draft pick the LA Rams had was in 2016, which was Jared Goff, right? Now, 2017 is when Sean McVay got there. Well, in 2017, we're going to keep count. In 2017, they didn't have a first-round draft pick. Why? Because they traded it to Tennessee to select Jared Goff. So they traded up in the draft and got Jared Goff. So no first-round draft pick, right? Now, 2018, no pick. Why? Because they traded to New England for Brandon Cooks. 2019, no first-round draft pick. Why? Traded to Atlanta for more picks. Interesting. 2020, no draft pick. 2021, no draft pick. So 2020 and 2021, they didn't have a first-round draft pick. Why? Because they traded to Jacksonville for Jalen Ramsey, right? 2022, no first-round draft pick. 2023, no first-round draft pick. Why? Because they traded to the Detroit Lions for Matthew Stafford. So we're going to count 1, 2, three, four, five, six, seven. So 7 years of no first round draft picks. You got one Super Bowl out of it, but for 7 years, you have no first round draft picks. And you know that old saying, what have you done for me lately? That is what the LA community will be saying to him. If we'll be saying to God, I forget the guy's name, but that's what they'll be saying to Sean McVay and the Rams for the coming future. What have you done for me lately? You've got one Super Bowl out of 7 years of no first round draft picks. And Sean McVay's favorite word was, remember, fuck those draft picks. That was always his favorite word. Fuck those draft picks. Yeah, it was all good. That was a cool saying when you were going through last year, beating the crap out of people, and you won a Super Bowl. Well, during the 22 season, did you hear Sean McVay saying, fuck those draft picks? Hell no. Because he's 5-12. He was getting his ass handed to him every Sunday pretty much. So the real reason why Sean McVay is stepping down, and he will, is because the LA Rams, they're going to have a long road back to respectability. You don't go 7 years without a first round draft pick and you don't see the repercussions behind it. You're going to see it. You're going to see it. All right. Off of the Dolphins don't have anybody. Well, they still have their receivers, but they don't have any. 10. But Vegas is laying 9 points. So I'll take the 9 points in the Bengals. And the last game, Monday night, the Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Shout out to William Golston with the Buccaneers. I love you, brother. I've been knowing you for a long time. I love you. I love the Bucks. But don't listen to ESPN, guys. Don't listen to those guys in the morning. Take the Cowboys. The Cowboys minus 2.5, I'm sorry, which you might as well say 3. I think the Cowboys will win by 14 points. I think you're going to see that other Cowboy team. You know, that Cowboy team that just came out and destroyed and rolled a good Minnesota team? That's the Cowboys you'll see on Monday in Tampa. So I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys minus 2.5, or you can take the money line wherever you feel, whatever you feel safe with. Okay? And that's my picks. Peace. And thank you for tuning into the City Ballers podcast show, the 2023 version. We're back. I kind of like this one, the pre-recorded one. It's kind of cool. But we still do have the live City Baller podcast shows. Those shows will be recorded live. There will be phone numbers given out where you could call in and speak live, or you can talk. So we're going to be doing a whole bunch of, we're going to try to up our podcast here at City Ballers in the year 2023. So please stay tuned. Keep hitting the site. Please like, subscribe to our YouTube account, so when any podcast hit, you'll have it. And we will have future podcast show where you can call in on YouTube. That'll be coming later in the year. Maybe, I would say maybe sometime in March or April. So stay tuned, watch us, listen to us, and go to our Twitter, Instagram. And before we go, I just want to give a shout out to Coach Crowell. Coach Crowell, we're going to try to reach out to you because we want to hear your side of the story. You are loved in the city of Detroit, in the Detroit metropolitan area. You have done a lot of great things for a lot of people, a lot of kids, a lot of families. You've helped get kids scholarships in university and a lot of these good universities. So, hope you'll be back and keep up the good work, because the community, the Metro Detroit community needs you very bad. So all those clowns that's writing those sucky articles about you, don't listen to them. We love you, brother. Keep doing your thing. You've been doing a good thing in Detroit since the days of you being at Cass. So we're going to try to reach out to you because we do want to hear your story. Shout out to Coach Ken. Shout out to Coach Al. Shout out to City Ballers itself. See you guys later. Peace.